This week, well, Sunday, today, the day this is out, I was going to post a video about abusers and how they don't deserve shit, and I hope that my ex gets hit by a car. Yeah, and then my cat got hit by a car. If I don't laugh, I will just burst into tears. It's so true, that saying. I Ew. I don't want to edit this. I don't edit usually a lot. My crying corners, and this is a crying corner episode. If you've clicked onto it, you know that. And my crying corner is just me verbally vomiting, basically. And it's usually about deep shit and like how I'm feeling. And recently, I've been really triggered when it comes to my last relationship, whilst in my current relationship, because when someone treats you good after being treated emotionally abused for 3 years, you know, parts of that haunt you and get triggered still, even in the best of relationships, which I really am in. So it's been a frustrating week, and I've been emotional, and I wanted to come on here and rant about how much I hate my ex. He thinks we're on good terms, which is probably my fault, but we're not, so get fucked. I probably will make a video about it if I get triggered again, about that shit, which is likely to happen, because, you know, that's just how life is. I essentially, what I wanted to say was, I hope you get fucked and die. Okay, no, I genuinely did want to say get fucked, because having someone else's actions affect you for so long, and the idea that they get to live their life with no consequences. Oh, don't even get me started, girly. I will start a fire. I will set this entire planet on fire if I have to, because there is nothing more in the world that angers me more than the idea of abusers, rapists, murderers living a life with no consequences. Basically, men living with no consequences. It truly enrages me. Can you hear that? It truly enrages me. Yes, I have a microphone now. Get fucked. And I hope my ex is unhappy for the rest of his life. And I don't say that to be a dickhead. Kind of do. But when I say shit like that, what's really going through my head is, I hope you get your karma tenfold. And I just hate when it's not delivered overnight. It's been like 8 months. Please kick his ass. I beg. Hurt him bad. Scold the fuck out of him. I beg you. Please deliver that karma. I know that's not how karma works, but deliver that karma. And sometimes karma takes like 10 years, and I just personally do not have that patience. But essentially, that was what I was going to say. I just hate when people act like they're living their best life when really they deserve to be in jail. Behind bars. Get behind bars, bitch. Okay? So that's what I was going to talk about. And then all of that anger, like, if I had that anger in me still, ooh, you'd be feeling the wrath. Like Ray said, there's nothing like, what's the fucking lyrics? I don't know what the fucking lyrics are. There's nothing like a woman's wrath, scorn, wrath. I don't. Anyways, what Ray said. Every single lyric in her entire album, actually. And you know, I was going to be very, very, very angry, and I was going to rant for 20 minutes about it, and I just, all of that shit doesn't matter anymore, because this week my boyfriend's cat died, And I know that I'm gonna sound fucking stupid as hell speaking about this, but I couldn't give less of a fuck. I, in my whole entire life, have only had 2 pets. And you're gonna think 2 is a lot. It was 2 hamsters that hated me, my entire family, and each other. They were called Marley and Pickles, and we buried them in coconuts when they died. And there was no connection to them. If anything, it felt like we had rodents in the house. I was super open to having hamsters, really wanted a pet, didn't have that at all in my life. Jealous of people who had dogs and cats and everything. So we got hamsters, and yeah, hated them. Never again. Ever. So then me and my boyfriend lives just outside of London, and I'm kind of in between with my parents and him. And when I'm with him, he has his cat, Albie. And since me and my boyfriend have been together, Albie has just been like our son. We call him our son. And I never ever judged people who got like super attached to their pets, because like I definitely grew to love pets in the sense of my best friend has a dog, my cousins have a dog and a cat, my other cousin has a dog. Like I grew to love animal, like pet, like domesticated animals a lot, even though I didn't have one myself. So I never ever judged people who were like brokenhearted when their pets died, whether shocking or like foreseen. But you can't ever understand anything unless you fully experienced it, right? And so me and Albie, like that, he's just my baby. And I've honestly been tempted today to make my username on Instagram Albie's Mummy Forever. And he was like the greediest cat. Like he's hungry all the time, but he was so skinny. But he just ate everything and everyone's food. And it was just like the most gluttonous cat I've ever met. But also the most introverted, and additionally the most affectionate. And when I say that, I don't just mean like he'll let me pet him and cuddle him. He would, in the morning, rush into the bedroom when my boyfriend opened the door, jump onto the bed, and like physically sit like on me here. And then he would put his paw on my nose or my hand, and he would just be purring, and like his purr was so loud that it literally vibrated my entire body. And we planned on having Albie forever, like, you know, until his natural life ended. And we're moving out soon, in a few months, and we plan to have him together there. And you know, more animals and kids. And we wanted our kids to know Albie. And I really couldn't have asked for a better experience with an animal, like as in a pet, because I never had that experience really. Where a pet it wasn't mine, he was my boyfriend's, but my boyfriend called him ours, and that was my first experience having a pet, and it was the best experience ever. He was such a crackhead, seriously. Like at night he would sit by our door and cry if we didn't let him in, and we let him in because we felt awful, and like hearing him cry was like hearing your own kid cry, so it was just fucking like gut-wrenching. And then we opened the door and he'd come in and he'd just be bouncing off of walls, and then at some point I was trying to get to sleep and he stood on my head. And I just, about, what day is it? It's Thursday. So yesterday, it's only been a day. Wow, feels a lot longer already. Yesterday morning I fed him. About 20 minutes later he was dead. got hit by a car. And nothing ever prepares you, not just for a shock death of losing someone or something, but seeing it. We didn't see him get hit, but we saw his body. And that in itself was too much for me. We got him in the grass, and I just stroked him, crying, and I went inside whilst my boyfriend's mum came to get him, and they buried him in the garden. He wasn't breathing. It was very clearly from how he was, and I'm not going to go into depth because it was horrid. But it was very clear, you know, not just that he wasn't breathing, but that it was kind of instant on impact. And I've not seen, like, okay, I've been through traumatic shit. I've been through abusive relationships, emotionally abusive relationships, 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙀, the R word. Everything you can fucking think of, I've probably been through it. I have lost human beings, and this was more painful. I'm being so for real. Why did no one warn me about this heartbreak? This fucking heartbreak. And shit like this makes me not believe in shit like the universe and stuff, because I was like, the amount of, like, we could have just scooped him up after I fed him and put him in our room and just like cuddled him, but we didn't. And that could have expanded his lifespan by years. And so shit like this makes me get existential, where it's like, I can't think about that, or I lose faith, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in the sense of, you know what, if everything is random, fuck it, great. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a negative thing, but I do lose just like a bit of connectivity to my spirituality. But to be fair, it's been fucking off ever since I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. Like, get fucked. So yeah, I've been questioning life, and they buried him, and we said our goodbyes, and I will tell my boyfriend not to watch this so I can say this, but I got me and him little A necklaces for 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙀, and for his birthday I commissioned 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙀 drawing from my friend Jay. I've obviously got him more stuff for his birthday. It's not just going to be dead cat related, but you know, he was our firstborn. We always joked he's our firstborn. So yeah, and it was horrible watching my boyfriend cry and be miserable as one is. It was horrible just feeling that grief together. It was obviously better together than alone, but it was just horrible, like both of us grieving. That feeling is just horrid. And I was saying to my boyfriend, like, when we have kids, like, are we gonna be this bad? Like, like if they bruise their knee, are we gonna like burst into tears? And I know it's not at all the same, like it's not a comparison whatsoever, but it was just like, no one warned me of this shit, man. Like, you expect, like, if you lose a kid, God forbid, but like that's hard as fuck, whether it's pre-birth or post-birth. No one warns you that losing a cat is gonna feel worse than losing your fucking grandparents. Like, gee, no, I don't mean that. Don't even. If there is a spirit, if there is a universe, don't even fucking think about it. I love my grandparents. I love my one set of grandparents so bad. But yeah, it has hurt so much more than losing members of the family and friends. I have never had a grief like this, and I've never gone through a trauma where it was on the spot, something happened. Like I've never witnessed his death, and I've never seen something dead in the sense of someone or something that I loved, and I don't want to ever again. It was horrible, and I think the worst bit for me is trying to remember him in the way that we knew him, obviously, and the way that we loved him, and how loved and fed he was, rather than what he looked like after being hit by a car. And because I still have those thoughts of like, oh, what if I just grabbed him and like put him in our room and cuddled him? Like, what if I just did that? I could have expanded his life by years. But I know that's just, if I keep thinking like that, I'm just gonna fuck myself up, because it is just so fucking stupid thinking like that anyways. But yeah, the driver didn't even stop, and they were clearly speeding, because even though the house is like on the road, like it's quite literally on the road, so in a way it was bound to happen. And they have lost, they as in my boyfriend and his mum, 3 cats now. So it's in a year, and mostly in the same way. So it was like a percentage thing, you know, like a possibility thing, and I fucking hate that so much. And I know it happens all the time, but Albie was a very savvy cat who would sit and wait for cars to go, so it meant that someone was speeding. It was just awful seeing him like that, and seeing my boyfriend just break down, and like me going into shock. Like I didn't cry for like a good 10 minutes, because I was like, what the fuck? Like in my head he was still alive. I was like, he's fine, like he'll be okay. And it was just like, Mia, just have a look at him. He's not breathing, darling. Like it's very, you know. But no one prepares you for shit like this. So fuck everyone and fuck everything, and I want my cat back. Yeah, I wanted to come here and rant about, I guess, those 2 things. I did rant about the first one a little bit, but definitely not as much as I could have and want to in depth, in a sense. But anyways, I just, as soon as that happened, like all the other emotions in my body left. All that anger towards those triggers and everything just dissipated. So I was like, okay, slay. Now I'm feeling grief. But it's weird, because like I've always had, this is gonna sound so cuckoo, but I've always had like a connection to the dead. Like when my yaya died this January, she's my great yaya, she was 105. She went like 20 years late, bitches. Like, you know, I wasn't sad. She was, it was time. Okay. And loved her, bless her, woman, you know. But when she died, and I've never had a dream about her in my life. I've known her my whole life. Never had a dream about her in my whole life. I have very prophetic dreams, by the way. They're metaphorical, but they're prophetic. So what they're a metaphor for are prophetic. Anyways, and I had a dream about her where she was wearing jeans and like a t-shirt, and she was in a bed, and she got out of bed, she came to me, and she sat next to me on these stairs, and we were looking through the store, and she was like, I can't find so and so. I think it was her husband, who I had never met because he died quite young too. And the first thing my mum said when I told her about it was she finally got to wear what she wanted, because since her husband died, all she wore was black, because that's a tradition in Greece and Cyprus is that you wear all black after your partner dies. And so she did that. She wore all black. Sometimes it was dark blue, but you wear all dark colours. And in this, she was wearing light colours and jeans. Oh my god, her in jeans in real life, I would have combusted on the spot because that's just not an image I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, so I've had I'm very prophetic in that sense. And this is where my struggle with existentialism comes in, and death and everything, and it's just made me more fragile to the idea of it. And I think about all the times me and my boyfriend were like, oh, he's gonna be with our kids, and he's gonna grow up and be a fat cat. And just, yeah, it's heartbreaking. I have never been so heartbroken in my life over something, and I've never grieved so much, and I've never had such a traumatic thing visually happen to me. And I know you're thinking, Mia, you listed abuse, emotional abuse, SA, etc. Yeah, but those things to me, first of all, for most of them, I was pretty young. My brain was so undeveloped that I didn't realize what happened until years later, for the most part. So, I've never witnessed a crash. I've never witnessed someone getting injured, to a really awful, extreme extent. And, this is my first visual traumatic experience. And I'm just like, I would have preferred if it was me, please. There we go. And we're back. So yeah, I've just had a shitty day. I've been thinking, well, I've worked today. It was a really good day. But on the way home on the train, it's just all I could think about. And it's about switching the imagery of how we found him to what he's usually like. And I've never had to deal with anything like this, really, so I can imagine a natural death is sad enough when it comes to pets, so a shock one and a very vividly gruesome one is horrid. So I was going to say I don't wish this on my worst enemy, but considering I think my ex is my worst enemy in my eyes, I kind of do wish this upon him, but I don't wish it upon any animal ever. I just wish trauma. I'm joking. Oh, no, I'm not. Anyways, yeah. So I'm just going to show you a picture of Albie and then we'll close the video. This was my baby. A couple days before he died. That's my baby. My ugly ass morning face. Ignore it. So yeah, I can't believe he's gone. Always speak about him, so it feels weird that he's gone. And shit, obviously. But we are going to dedicate a lot of things to him. And we've said that when we do move in a couple months, that when we get a cat, we're going to name him or her LB Jr. And he's forever going to be our firstborn baby. So, yeah, I am going to Paris the day after this is posted, and I'm excited, and I wish I was going knowing that I would come back home to my baby, but I'm not, and that sucks. But I'm beyond fucking grateful that I got that time with him and got his love, because his love was just the most love I've ever felt in the world. Fuck everybody. that cat loved me more than anyone. Literally anyone. Maybe just because I fed him, but you know, give me something. So yeah, Albie, I love you. Your mommy and your daddy love you so much, and we miss you so much. And I hate that this happened, and I would do everything in my fucking power to turn back time and stop it from happening if I could. Nothing in this world has ever made me want to turn back time. No one's death, no one leaving my life, no heartbreak, no nothing. So I would do it all for that little stinky cat. He smelled like a 𝙃𝙗𝙧𝙬𝙀. But I love him. I miss how he smells. And I miss sniffing his head and giving him kisses and pissing him off by cuddling him too much. And I'm going to start crying, so I'm going to turn the camera off. But yes, if you have pets, please cherish and love them, kiss them, cuddle them, even if they don't like it. Just do it for me. And that goes for your humans as well, even though they're not as great sometimes. We are so impenetrable. Like, our skulls and bodies and skin are so breakable, and I hate that now. So yeah, we are very fragile beings. Everything in this world is a fragile being, essentially. Everything is breakable. So just go out there and love and care and kiss and cherish and hug and cuddle and spend every moment with everyone that you can, because nothing lasts forever. Anyway, I'm gonna dedicate like every future book of mine to 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙀, every video to 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙀, everything to him, because I love him so much. And I fucking hate that he's gone. So yeah, thank you for listening to me rant. I didn't have a therapy session booked before I go to Paris, and I don't want to book one for afterwards because I can't be fucked. So this is my therapy. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and I will see you next week with a cool vlog video, hopefully, if I can do it on time. Yeah, I love you guys.